What is going on? Why am I... Ah, there we go.
There we go.
Sweet. Guess it took a little
There we
while
go.
to catch up, I guess. It's weird.
Well, now we can say for sure, hello, Twitchies.
Yeah, hello, Twitchies. Spelunkers.
Share this on the Nerd Cave page.
Retro Spelunkers.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right, well, if we're ready to do this, let's go and get going. If you're ready.
Sure.
All right, let's do this. Unpause. Man, why is everything so loud tonight? Can you hear all that? Can you hear me moving? Weird.
Slightly.
Something is just off tonight. All right, here we go. This episode of the Nerd Cave Retro is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/nerdcave. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
You're listening to the Nerd Cave Network.
Greetings, programs, and welcome back to another edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And I'm Derek Diamond.
So, Derek, how was your week, my friend?
It's been busy. We've got, I kind of touched on this last week, but Wednesday is begins the first homestand for the Blue Wahoos, which is the minor league baseball team that I work at. So, been trying to enjoy my last weekend of freedom. Had a nice chill weekend, which has been good. So, other than that, relatively uneventful. How about you?
It was good. I made a trip over to the local retro gaming store yesterday and picked up a copy of Ninja Gaiden 2, which was
Nice.
a good pickup. I got it for like $7, and it was really good. A really nice copy of it, so I'm quite happy with that. Other than that, we did a full, almost done with, but me and my wife, we did like a 10-hour marathon of Altered Carbon on Netflix yesterday. So that was, that's pretty much what I did yesterday.
And how was it?
It's great. We're down to the last episode, I think, and one more episode to go, and we'll be done. We're going to do that tomorrow night.
I've heard good things about it for the most part, so I might have to check out the first episode or two to see what I think of it. But like I said, most things that I've heard about have been really good.
Yeah.
Before
really
we
good.
get into the news, I did have one question I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
When you were younger, did you ever have you ever watched wrestling before? I know you're a Roddy Piper fan.
Oh
but,
yeah, I was a huge wrestling fan when I was a kid.
So as we're doing the show, WrestleMania is going on right now. The show is 7 hours long.
What?
They did a 2-hour pre-show starting at 4:00, and then the actual show itself started at 6 and goes until 11.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Dude, WrestleMania was like 3 hours when I was a kid, if that.
Yeah. It's been a long day. I mean, I've been watching it since it started, and I'm just like, holy crap. I mean, I've got it, kind of going on in the background, just kind of seeing what's going on. But man, it's a long show.
Good Lord, man.
That's like a full work day.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could watch wrestling. I could watch a few hours of wrestling now, but I don't think I could do a full 7 hours worth.
I mean, it's literally like you would go to work just to do one thing and then come home.
Oof.
Like it's the length of a work day.
Yeah, no shit.
It's insane.
That's nuts.
It's absolutely insane. I just wanted to throw that little nugget of information in there. It's like, WWE, if you're watching, cut down on your time.
Yeah, no
Your show
kidding,
does not
man.
need to be 7 hours long. Jeez.
Well, I heard that the what do they call it, the Hall of Fame ceremony was really long too the other night.
Yeah, it was that they had an hour pre-show to that, and including that was 5.5 hours.
Wow.
That's something they gotta. I could rant about it all night, but they've got to cut down on the time. I mean,
I'm sure
that's too long. It's way too long.
But you know what we need to do now? We need to move into the news because we got some news tonight that is hot off the presses. This is on Crunchyroll.com. Sega President teases a return to hardware game consoles. In a move that is sure to raise a few eyebrows, Sega Games Company Limited President and COO Kenji Matsubara stated in an interview with Sankei Shimbun that the company was considering a return to the hardware home video game console market. Now, this is not set in stone. This is just kind of something he said. So there's no current plans for a re-release of the Genesis or the Mega Drive, whichever you prefer to call it. What do you think about it? Do you think that they're basically doing this because of the success of the Super Nintendo Classic and the Nintendo Classic. I've been expecting this for longer than this. I'm surprised it's taken them this long to kind of acknowledge it, but I mean, it really just seems like a no-brainer to me.
If that's what they're doing, then I think they should absolutely do it. Because you go in like Target or Walmart and you see these off-brand Genesis classic consoles. But if Sega were to actually do one, then I would probably get it. But I'm not going to lie, whenever I saw you post the headline in the Google Docs we have, I was like, wait, is Sega making like a brand new console? I'm just like, that would be a terrible idea. But if they wanted to dip their hand in the retro gaming market, and do something like Nintendo did with the NES and the SNES, no, absolutely. I think that's absolutely a no-brainer. And if people see that it's actually done by Sega, I think they're more likely to buy it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They talk about the ones in the article here that are made by At Games, and everybody's seen these. I mean, these are the ones you see at your local drugstore, especially around like Christmas at like the CVS and the Rite Aid and stuff like that. It's basically just an emulator, and most of them aren't very good. But I think if Sega does one that's actually Sega branded, could be a big step in the Sega kind of making some headway into possibly, coming back a little bit in the retro or just the gaming market. In my opinion.
No, I totally agree. You can fit, if you could fit like 30 games on this thing, and they called it, it doesn't have to be called this, but if it's like Sega Genesis Classic or Sega Genesis Rewind or something like that, and it's got the giant Sega logo on it, and it says licensed by, people will, if you build it, they will come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool story coming from NintendoLife.com. Nintendo's SNES-era troubleshooting phone line still works, and tips are still given. Nintendo is unusual that it offers much better after-sales service than most of its rivals, and in the past has supported systems for many, many years after they stopped being sold in stores. When one fan recently found his SNES was unresponsive, he decided to see if the troubleshooting telephone line printed on the side of the console would still deliver results, and amazing, it does. The Nintendo rep wasn't able to offer any kind of parts replacement. She did talk him through some potential solutions and revealed that she'd recently done the same for someone with an NES. Eventually, he was able to get his vintage console working again. This is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I thought about just calling the number just to see what happens. I mean, my Super Nintendo works fine, but this whole thing is just... I don't even really know what to say about it. The fact that, this console is almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
And they're still offering support for it.
And that's, I mean, is it just one of those things that they have regular customer service representatives, and like this old number still works and just gets routed to whatever, customer service representative is available at the time, and then they just kind of got to go through like an old, like an old PDF document of troubleshooting of the old systems.
Yeah. When I first saw the headline, I thought it might be like if you had troubles with a game, like trying to figure out where to go.
Oh yeah,
but they still offered that kind of support. I was like, yeah, I'll call and say, hey, yeah, I can't find my way to Death Mountain. Link to the Past. Can you help me?
Yeah, what were those people called? The game. We talked about this not too long ago.
Yeah, we did.
Game
and of course, I
counselors.
can't remember it.
They're called game counselors. Like that. I wanted to be a game counselor so badly when I was a kid. Like that was what I wanted to be when I grew up, was a Nintendo game counselor.
That would have been amazing.
Like what an awesome job.
This is a really, really cool story. Props to Nintendo for doing that.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Like this story just made me smile. That's why I wanted to throw it in there for this week. Also coming from NintendoLife.com, SNK, which was one of the bigger publishers back in the day. They're going to have their 40th anniversary collection coming on Switch later this fall. To celebrate the 40th anniversary of legendary studio SNK, a variety of classic arcade games from SNK's golden age comes back together in one anthology on the Nintendo Switch as SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. In it, you will find prized classics such as Athena, Crystallis, the Akari Warriors trilogy, and more, with a treasure trove of features such as updated graphics at 1080p resolution, redesigned control schemes, and a special SNK museum mode featuring the extensive history of SNK with high-definition artwork and original promotional assets. This extraordinary modern meets retro collection is for all gamers who want to have a slice of gaming history in their hands. I am excited about this because I liked a lot of the SNK games back in the day, especially Crystallis. We actually did a review of that game a while back, but that was one of the best action RPGs on the NES. That it's up there with it's as good as like Legend of Zelda and Star Tropics and stuff like that. Like it's a really well done, beautiful game with great music. But it really didn't do that well, I don't think. But I think this would be a way for people to really rediscover some of those old, really good games from SNK.
The key to this was updated graphics at 1080p resolution.
Yeah.
The fact that this whole collection's being updated with modern graphics, and the Switch has been killing it with its getting all the indie games, and they've got their I guess we'll call it for now Virtual Console. I don't know if they've actually released the official name for it yet, but coming out later this year, you've got stuff like this. Hop on the Switch bandwagon. We've been talking about it since it came out, a year ago. Hop on the bandwagon because Nintendo's doing some good stuff with the Switch.
Well, especially if you're a retro gaming fan. I mean, they have that whole classic series that they're putting out in the eShop for, the Switch. And there's a lot of good old games on there. Like you can pick up some of the ones that come readily to mind. Like there's a lot of, there's like Double Dragon. There's a lot of Neo Geo games that are on there. But if you're a retro gaming fan, there's a lot to choose from on the Switch. So if you haven't picked one up, now's the time.
I'll probably pick this up whenever it comes out because, I've wanted to play Crystallis, and I know you've praised the SNK games. I'd love to check it out.
And I can't wait to see that game with the updated graphics at 1080p. That game is going to be gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But on that note, let's go ahead and move into this month in video game history. In April of 1984, Namco releases Gapless, the sequel to Galaga. And I had to look this up earlier because I didn't remember this game at all. It is a fixed shooter arcade game that was released by Namco in 1984. It was the only other game to run on Namco Phozon hardware. And in the US, a modification kit was later released to change the name to Galaga 3, possibly to increase recognition among fans of the games, even though there was no Galaga 2.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know there was any sequel to Galaga.
I did. I thought, because here it is, Galaxian. I always thought Galaxian was the official sequel to Galaga, but apparently, let me look up Galaxian. It was released in 1979. It spawned us. Oh, Galaga is. That's right. That now I'm remembering correctly. Galaga is the sequel to Galaxian.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then Gapless is the sequel to Galaga, but it's actually Galaga 3, but there was no Galaga 2, so it's kind of got a weird numbering system on it.
I did not know that. I'm learning all kinds of new stuff tonight.
I know.
In April of 1987, IBM launches the PS2 line of computers, which introduces VGA graphics and 3.5-inch floppy drives to PCs. The floppy drive days.
I remember those. You remember when we were kids, especially like in high school, when we got to the 3.5-inch floppy disks, you actually had to have. Or maybe you were a little bit different because you were a couple of years behind me, but we had to actually buy our own floppy disks to bring to school to save all our work on. And you go back and you look at these floppy drives or floppy disks, and they're only like 2 megabytes or something like that. And you're like, geez, you can't even put a picture on that these days.
I remember the thing that sticks out in my mind the most about floppy drives or floppy disks. I remember having this giant plastic container that had like 50 floppy disks on it, or in the case, and it was under lock and key, which I thought was really weird. Like, why would you put like a lock on a plastic tub full of floppy disks? But which I got those around the time that CDs started to really come into the mainstream. So
oh man,
I do have some fun memories of floppy disks.
Oh, and I used to get the nice plastic holders with the clear top, and then I would have all of my 3.5-inch discs like color coordinated and by genre. So I was kind of a bit of a nerd about that.
Yeah, all the floppy disks I had were all color coded. Like you'd have red, then blue, green, yellow, and then it would alternate red, blue, green, yellow. It was a fun time. I wish I still had that container. That'd be fun to go back and look on.
I'm sure I do somewhere at my mom's house. I'm sure it still exists in some closet somewhere, forgotten.
It'd be cool if you found it though.
Oh yeah, did I see what games I had back then? That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
Then in April of 1988, Namco releases Assault, which may be the first game to use hardware rotation of sprites and the background. And let me look this up. I don't remember this game at all. It's
Never
a
heard of it.
multi-directional shooter arcade game. It's the last Namco game that was licensed to Atari, even though their logo still appears in the Meija Stadium scoreboard in World Stadium 89, Kaimakuben, and 90, whatever that means. I guess it's about tanks. It says, what makes Assault unique is that the player's tank always points towards the top of the screen, and when the tank turns, the entire playfield rotates around the tank. It can be interpreted as rotating the world rather than the tank. It made early use of the hardware sprite scaling, preceded by at least Sega's Space Harrier in 1985, and maybe the first game to use that hardware. That's cool. I did not know.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'd never heard of this game before, but if it was the first to do that, that's pretty historic.
Oh yeah.
April 8th, 1989, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, published by Bandai, was released for the NES. Widely believed to be one of the worst video games released for the Nintendo Entertainment System, if not one of the worst video games ever made.
Yeah, I remember playing this game a couple times as a kid and absolutely hating it. And it's this video that made me get into the angry video game nerd. It was one of the very first episodes of the AVGN that I ever saw was the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I must have watched it 5 times in a row because I loved it so much. This game is awful. It is so bad.
It sounds like it, but no, I've briefly heard of this game, but I had no idea that it was that like that critically panned.
Oh, it's awful. If you ever get a chance to maybe just emulate it and play it for a few minutes, you'll see that I feel bad for anybody that paid money for this game back in the 80s, because it's kind of like along the same lines as like the LJN games, like Back to the Future and stuff like that. It's almost unplayable. Like the game mechanics and what you have to do in the game, it's nearly just, it's so broken. I can't believe they put that game out.
I really want to watch the Angry Video Game Nerd episode of this now, because those videos are just amazing.
Oh, you should. It's so good. On April 21st of 1989, Nintendo of America releases Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, introducing Princess Daisy to the Mario series.
So many fun memories of playing Super Mario Land on road trips and.
Oh yeah, I know you have a lot of fond memories of this game.
What's funny is the sequel to the Super Mario Land 2 was a much better looking game, but this reminds me a lot of the original Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo. The graphics are similar, obviously a little bit simpler, no color because it was for the original Game Boy, but this is one that I do plan on doing a review for fairly soon. That and its sequel, which are both really fun games. So
what happened to Princess Daisy? We haven't heard much about her since the days of Super Mario Land.
She's in a lot of the multiplayer games, like your Mario Tennis, your Mario Golf. Other than that, she's not really around too much. But she's still around.
You would think with the addition of Pauline in Super Mario Odyssey, they would have threw in Princess Daisy in there somewhere.
You would think so, but you never know.
And to round us out for this month in video game history, actually, I don't know why I'm about to do this. It's your turn, Derek.
That's all good. In April of 1996, Eidos Interactive acquires Centrigold, is that PIC or PLC? PLC, which holds core design, creator of the Lara Croft character, and US Gold. I don't know if I've ever heard of this company before.
I have. Let me see what all they've done.
Oh, it's Square Enix Europe. Okay.
Yes, okay. I knew that sounded really familiar.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, I don't think I ever mentioned this, but when I was out in LA, I actually saw the Tomb Raider movie that came out a couple of weeks ago. It actually wasn't that bad. For video game movie standards, it was good. But as far as an actual like movie, just in general, it was very safe and very predictable. But not bad. It would be I'd call it a red box rental.
Yeah.
Or if it's ever put out on Netflix, I would definitely watch it. But I wouldn't go to the theater to see it.
Well, I was never really a Lara Croft Tomb Raider fan. Like I never really played those, and then. And Lara Croft, the original Lara Croft movies, both of them, they will go down in history as two of the movies that I fell asleep in the middle of the theater.
Really?
Yeah, one of the two movies that I actually fell asleep in the theater. Like I saw the opening credits. I remember about the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then I woke up and the credits were rolling, and there was no one in the theater but me.
I've almost done that once, but that was for Van Helsing.
Oh yeah,
the Hugh Jackman movie,
bad too.
Which was, and I love me some Hugh Jackman, but that was not a good movie.
No, it was not. Ugh, I hate those movies.
Yeah.
Let's tell people about books, Derek. Have you been listening to anything cool lately?
I've been dabbling in a little bit of stuff that I'll talk about. For you, the listeners of the Nerd Cave Retro podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Now, if I can open up my app here, of course, there's Ready Player One, which is out in theaters right now, based off the Ernest Cline book. Very, very good movie. Different from the book, but not so different that they didn't take the heart out of the movie. Like it's still very fun. If you love 80s pop culture, definitely check it out.
I loved it.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I loved every second of it.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Such a fun movie. A book that I've mentioned before that I've started getting back into is Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And the next book I'm going to listen to after that is A Survival Guide to the Actor's Life by Jenna Fisher, who played Pam on The Office.
Oh, that's cool.
So definitely looking forward to checking that one out. But they've got a ton of other books to choose from. They've got fiction, nonfiction, sci-fi, fantasy, romance, Star Wars, gaming. Any genre you can think of, Audible has. And if you're always on the go like I am, Audible is a great service to have to be able to continue to read without having to sit down and read a physical copy. And to do that, just go to audibletrial.com/nerdcave. Again, that's audibletrial.com/nerdcave for your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial.
And in honor of the new movie, Derek is going to be reviewing...
Very catchy music for the type of game that it is.
Yeah.
So we had a request from one of our listeners, Mr. Derek Bryant, asking if we would review Rampage due to the new movie starring The Rock that is coming out this week. So I thought to myself, I think this is going to be episode, 78 or 79, I think. 79.
Yep.
I have yet to review an NES game on this show.
That's amazing.
Which is crazy to think about. No, I've just been strictly in the SNES, 64, and Game Boy era. So, and I have vague memories of playing Rampage World Tour, but I didn't really play it all that much. So I wanted to try my hand out at the original Rampage, which is a 1986 arcade game by Bally Midway. Players take control of gigantic monsters trying to survive against onslaught of military forces. Each round is completed when a particular city is completely reduced to rubble. So this game is pretty simple. You have your choice of what monster you want to play as. You have George, which is a giant gorilla. Lizzie, a Godzilla-like dinosaur lizard creature, and Ralph, a giant werewolf, which is a fantastic name for a werewolf. Literally, and as I read in the description, you start in a city. In the NES version, you start in California, and you destroy buildings. That's literally all you do. and you have to avoid, like a helicopter shooting things at you. People will... The funny visual is these little tiny sprites of people opening their windows and throwing stuff at you.
Yeah.
Which do damage. And, if you fall off a building, like if you're climbing a window and you're hitting it, eventually it'll crash. If you're like, say, at the top of the building and you crash to the ground, it obviously takes a good bit of your health away. But you can heal yourself by breaking windows, and you'll find like food and other items that will heal yourself. There are some hazards to it as well, other than people, shooting things and throwing things at you. Like you can, if you crack open a window and you find, say, for example, what was one thing? I think a toilet was one. If you try and eat a toilet, it'll take your health away.
It'd be toasters and stuff like that.
Toaster, skull and crossbones takes away health. But yeah, all in all, that's pretty much it. It's
Is it still fun,
I hate to give like a super short review, but it's really like it's kind of like Smash Brothers. Like once you get the core concept, that's pretty much what it is. I thought it was fun. From what I played of it this afternoon. I played it for a good hour and a half. It's a game that I would play again, but it's one of those that, what you see is what you get with it, which is not a bad thing.
How does it hold up on the NES, though? Like, as far as the actual, like, gameplay and the graphics, does it stack up against the original arcade release of it?
I thought it was okay. I've never played the arcade version, but I could see it being a little bit better. The controls were, and it took me a little bit to getting used to because I played it on an emulator, and I have what looks like an Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah.
That's like a USB, and you can. The cool thing about emulators is you can set a controller to like certain buttons, and you feel like you're actually playing it on an NES. So, just having the A and B buttons took a little bit of getting used to because I'm so used to playing like Super Nintendo where you have those two extra ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, I thought graphic wise, I've seen better looking NES games, but I wouldn't say it's the worst one that I've ever seen. It's no E.T. when it comes to graphics.
Well, the actual publisher for the Nintendo version was Data East. They were kind of they weren't bad, but they weren't a great publisher back in the day. They were kind of more of the middle of the road, because they had stuff. They did ports of Bad Dudes, which I talked about one of the episodes a while back. I don't remember which one. Which it's a serviceable side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's one of those publishers that they put out decent games. They weren't gonna blow your mind by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't bad. They were just kind of very middle of the road, and you knew what you were going to get. Like if you went and you found a Data East game on sale, full price games back in the day were like $50. You could find a good sale on Data East games. Like if I were to find like Bad Dudes or Rampage for sale for like $25 back in the day, that would have been a good purchase.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at, let's see, where are some of the games that Data East has done? Let's see, where was it? They made pinball machines in the late 80s, which is pretty cool.
Well, they did do Karnov, which is he was actually their mascot that they used, and Karnov was a pretty good game and a good port to the NES too. It started out at life as an arcade game.
They did Karate Champ, Burger Time, Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, RoboCop, Karnov. I see that here. Yeah, so I mean they've done some fairly notable games, but as I said, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. Like it's a game that I would probably go through and play again if I had if I'm just sitting around and I just want a game that I don't really have to put a lot of thought into and play it for just waste an hour of the day, this would be a good game for that. But it's no Zelda or Mario by any stretch.
They did do some pretty good games. They licensed some games. Like I'm reading here, they did Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja, which was one of the very first, probably one of the first 5 games I ever played for the Nintendo. And I remember I actually rented a Nintendo when I was a kid before I actually owned one. And the game that I rented when I rented the Nintendo was Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja, and I actually have a copy of it. And I love that game, even though it's kind of simple. It's deceptively, it gets harder as it goes. But I might actually do a review of Kid Nicky pretty soon. Which is, if you've never played Kid Nicky, the graphics aren't much to really look at. I mean, it's a fine, it's okay, but it's the gameplay that really holds up for that game. So it's a good pickup if you ever run across that somewhere.
For sure. As I mentioned, they made pinball machines from 87 to 94, and they were modeled after, certain properties like Guns N' Roses, Star Wars, Back to the Future, Batman, RoboCop, The Simpsons, and Ninja Turtles. I would love to have a Ninja Turtles pinball machine. That would be awesome.
Me too. I love pinball. Like every time I go to, an arcade or, the bowling alley, I'm always just attracted to the pinball machines, and I will spend, $20 on one machine. Like the last time I went to the bowling alley, I think I played the Kiss machine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was a Kiss that I played for a while. Man, that was fun. Like, love some good pinball games.
That and I remember when I was a kid, I loved that, Ninja Turtles arcade game, and Skee Ball. were
Yeah.
my arcade games of choice.
Oh, I'm a sucker for skee ball too. I love me some skee ball.
Yeah, I was, not to brag on myself, but back when I was a regular at the local Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid, I was pretty good at some skee ball.
Yeah. So last time we went to the bowling alley a couple months back, me and Tina were always playing some skee ball. So we ended up hitting like double ticket day or something like that.
Yeah.
And we ended up with like 800 tickets or something like that. And we're like, man, we're going to be able to get something cool. And actually, let me go show you what we got.
I can't wait to see this. I would have killed for 800 tickets. I would have killed for like 100 tickets.
I'm going to show it to you right in the camera here. We each got one of these little like frog things, and when you squeeze it, their eyes pop out. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's what we spent. Like, I think we each spent about $20 a piece. So $40 for that. Money well spent.
Was it worth it? Absolutely.
Abso-freaking-lutely. We had so much fun.
But I back to Rampage. I do imagine this would be a really fun arcade game. So this is one that, I missed on back in the day, because the NES version was good and all, but I can totally see this being like a co-op multiplayer game where like you could get two other friends and all three of you are the creatures just wrecking stuff.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I just wonder how they came up with the idea to actually do a movie off of Rampage. Because, I mean, it looks like they might have actually succeeded with actually coming up with a story for the game. But good Lord, how did this get through on the ideas of, yeah, let's do that?
Well, I can tell you why this movie will not fail. And it's because of The Rock. If you put The Rock's name on it, it will succeed.
Yeah, and it's got a giant ape and a giant crocodile and a giant wolf destroying a city. You got my money.
My favorite line from the trailer is The Rock saying, "Of course the wolf flies."
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so gonna be there to watch that. My wife Tina is just like, I have no interest in seeing that, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm going by myself if I have to.
Because I've got a game to work the night that it comes out. I honestly, because on Saturdays we don't have to be until a little bit later, I might go like if the game's like 2.5 hours, I might just go to the theater because I have a theater like 2 blocks from my house, and just go watch it.
Do it. I have a theater like less than 5 minutes from my house, so I'm going. I don't care. I'm going by myself if I have to.
Well, hopefully both of us can see it and we can give a review for it next week.
Hey, well, yeah, that'd be awesome. And speaking of next week, you guys are lucky again because you're going to get to watch 2 episodes back to back. Because I'll be out of town the week afterwards, and we're going to do 2 episodes in a row. So next week, I'm going to be talking about Batman, Return of the Joker, and they also did a port to the Sega Genesis, which is called Revenge of the Joker, and they did a version for the SNES, which was a canceled game, but I managed to get my hands on a bootleg copy of it from my emulator.
Ooh,
so I'm going to be talking
nice.
about that next week, and Derek's going to be talking about what were you doing again? Sonic 3?
Sonic the Hedgehog 3, yeah. I've been on a little bit of a Sonic kick. I've been playing through Sonic Mania on the Switch the last few days, so I'm going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is, to me, a pretty important game in the franchise's history. So can't wait to talk some Sonic next week.
So we do have some listener email we want to talk to, and let me play a little bit of music here underneath and see what that sounds like. Oh, that's nice. Coming to us from Derek Bryant on Facebook. We asked everybody to give us an idea of what we're missing with Final Fantasy, because neither Derek or I are big Final Fantasy fans. And he said, I think you're missing out on some good gaming by not playing any of the Final Fantasy games. I had a copy of Final Fantasy II for NES that no one could tell anything about. I now know that it was a repo game I had in early 2000. I highly recommend FF2 and FF3 for SNES. Loved number 7 for PS1. After that, I stopped playing because of too many cutscenes. Highly recommend those. Number 3 is on SNES Classic. Should have been 2. And that's... You're killing me with the numbers, because I don't know what's going on with the numbers of these games.
Yeah, by 3 we mean 2, by 2 we mean 6.
Whoa,
6 we mean
sorry.
27.
That's a little loud. Trying to get a little bit of music there.
I'm liking this music.
Yeah. I found some chip tunes that I liked a lot, so I figured I'd use them on the show here. But yeah, as far as the Final Fantasy stuff, I'd give it a try, but it's still, he hasn't really given me a reason to actually go out and play it. So it just seems more confusing to me at this point.
Yeah, I would.
Nice try,
I would
Derek, though.
that.
We thank you for the feedback, though. But also, we have one more. Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, from Nicholas. He says, "Hello, guys. Here you have a Swedish fan of your podcast, yeah. You would make my year if you could do a review of Faxanadu. Best regards, Nicholas." And you know what's funny is yesterday I was at the local retro gaming store called Play and Talk. I actually had a copy of Faxanadu in my hand. And I had that and Astyanax in my hand before I ran across the Ninja Gaiden 2. And I was actually going to get all 3 of the games, but I ended up putting those back and just getting Ninja Gaiden 2 because I'm finally getting to the point where I'm just kind of like, I need to calm down and just, get like one game at a time. But there's always a copy of Faxanadu at the retro gaming store. And now that we've actually got a request for it, I'll go pick it up and just give me. I'll probably put this on the schedule for like late May, June, and then I'll do a review of Faxanadu because it's one of those games that I've always wanted to play. I just never really got around to it.
No, looking forward to it. I might actually, because the original Final Fantasy is on the NES Classic. I might go back and play through it, and I'll see what the hype is all about.
Awesome. Yeah, and I saw one of our friends, Nate, the Retro Gaming Dev, on Twitter this week. He was doing he was playing Astyanax on Twitch, and that's another one of those games that I always kind of was curious about, but never got to play. So when I had the copy in my hand, I was like, I should go ahead and get this because it was only like $4 or $5. So I was like, I'll go ahead and get these. But then I was like, nope, you need to just calm down, just get one game, and you're good. You don't have to get everything all at once.
Yeah. No, some good stuff coming up.
But yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. So Derek, what you got to pimp before we get out of here?
Well, as always, you can check out the Derek Diamond Experience. New episodes drop every Thursday on iTunes, Spotify, and all podcasting platforms. I've got some cool shows lined up over the next couple of weeks. If you haven't yet, you can go on the Facebook page, facebook.com/DDiamondPodcast, and check out the fantastic survey panel that Jason was on a couple of weeks ago. Really fun. I did decide I am going to split the audio version into 2 parts. That will probably be coming out in June, if I had to guess.
Awesome. I can't wait to get that on podcast form so I can go back and listen through again while I'm working. It's kind of hard for me to just kind of sit and watch a video, because usually I listen to a lot of stuff when I'm at work. So I'm going to love listening back to that at work. That was so fun to do. And thank you for getting everybody together to actually do that and opening up your home to everyone so that we could come and do that.
No, absolutely. It's one that, when I was on set for the movie, I had it in my mind. I was like, I really want to do a panel about this because it was just a really fun experience. And it was fun getting to go back and relive that.
And as far as the pop culture palette goes, we just had another episode last Saturday that we released. And if you want to be a Patreon subscriber of the Pop Culture Palette, for $1 a month gets you the extra episodes. And last month we did our game show, Do You Know the 90s? All about general 90s trivia. So if you want to know who wins that competition, you're going to have to give us some money. Give us $1. Everybody, that's $1 a month. That's like, it's like 5 cents a day or something like that. It's just, or not even that. It's like a penny a day. Less than that. I don't know. You do the math. It's $1.
One simple dollar.
Yeah, so $1 a month gets you an all access pass to the Pop Culture Palette. We need to do that for this show so we can start making some money on this. I can buy more games.
We do.
So we need to think about that. What would you people like as Patreon rewards? So we'll leave it up to you guys. You can email us or get a hold of us on Twitter and let us know what you would like as Patreon rewards for this show.
No, I'd love to hear that for sure.
We should do that. Now, I'm putting out a call to you people, all you people that listen to this show. Email us or get to us on Twitter. Let us know what you would like as a Patreon supporter, and we will do everything in our power to make that happen. Because look, these shows take money to actually put on. They're free for you. They're not free for us. So we need to find ways to actually pay for this show and to go buy us some games to play so we can review for you fine people. So we'll figure that out in the next couple of months, and we'll do some cool stuff. But let's go ahead and get out of here. So, Derek, anything else before we go?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and play our music. If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. You can find us at thenerdcaveretro.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro. You can follow us individually at jfunktastic, at Derek_Diamond, and we're on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
You've been listening to a Nerd Cave Network production.
That was excelente, my friend.
Sweet. Good episode as always.
I think there was something going on with the Twitch stream tonight. I was looking at the bit rate, and man, it kept taking dips. And I was looking at our stream, and it kept stalling out. So, and we started off with like a bunch of viewers, and then it just dropped off because I think our stream kept getting interrupted.
Maybe so.
I don't know what's going on.
It does happen sometimes.
That's weird.
But I'm gonna hop off because looks like something fairly major is about to happen at Mania.
Okay.
So,
well, bye everybody on Twitch. We will see you next week.